Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Personal spook experiences Greentext thread. I'll start. Florida, 2005. I am 14. Me and my family had moved to a new house in a rural neighborhood. Place was great. All of the neighbors were good people, the kind that would give you the clothes on their backs. They brought over some welcome gifts, pretty standard stuff, homemade dishes and the like. After every one of them dropped off the stuff they had, I saw one of our neighbors, an older man around 50 with graying black hair and blue eyes, pull my dad aside to talk about something. Being the nosy little shit I was, I eavesdropped on the conversation. He started talking about how the area was nice and all that, but that stuff could get weird around here. Said that there were a lot of strange noises the other neighbors heard in the space behind our backyard. Apparently, the family to the left of us had seen something crawling over the privacy fence from our backyard about a month before we moved. Said they were grilling out back when they heard the fence rattling like it was being grabbed and shaken. One of them went to investigate in case of squatters, aka peek over the fence. Old man gives the description the neighbor gave him. Amber-colored fur, around the size of a Dalmatian, but no tail. Dad chalks it up to some weird mutt living back there. Old man says to be careful, since there had been some stray dog sightings in the forest behind us. Afterwards, Dad asked me to go check out back to make sure that there isn't anything back there now. Open the gate and see an oval-shaped hole in the ground about 1 foot deep and 4 feet wide. There is a bunch of leaves and amber hair in the center, but it looks like it's been undisturbed for a while. No footprints in dirt or signs of life like prey remains or crap. Tell Dad. He says since it looked old, we probably didn't need to worry. I've been living there for about a week now. There were some weird howls in the woods behind our house. Doesn't sound like a dog or anything else I'd ever heard. Kinda like a chimp's yell and a hissing cat mixed together. Go to the backyard to see if there was anything back there. See a 4 foot tall mass of fur sniffing around the chicken coop. Its fur is the exact same color as what I found in the hole, just as shiny too. The air smelled like a mix of rotting fruit, raw meat, and stagnant water. I accidentally smack my elbow on the door frame and it perks its head up to look in my direction. Its face looks like a mix between an orangutan and a deer. Has weird droopy ears that look like if you tried to turn a human's ears into a rabbit's. Lets out a shrill screech that sounds kinda like a cat yowling. It climbs a tree in the corner of the backyard, hops over the fence and books it into the forest. Close the back door as quietly as possible. Book it upstairs and wake my dad up. Tell him that there was a monster in the backyard. He assures that I was just seeing things wrong because it was so dark. He says that if we fill in the little nest hole, spray the yard with something, it probably won't come back. The next day, Dad wakes me up so I can help him fill in the nest hole. We finish filling in the hole and my dad hands me a spray bottle full of some weed killer. He said if we masked its scent, it would be less likely to come back. Don't really know if there's any truth to that, but okay. Absolutely douse the perimeter of the fence in weed killer. Nothing happens for like 2 days. I am at home alone because my parents had to rush to go see Uncle in hospital. Apparently, he had a heart attack while working and was in the emergency care unit. Before they leave, Dad gives me the key to the gun cabinet. Dad is kind of paranoid about someone possibly breaking in because we were new to the area. and although the neighbors were nice, he did not want to take a chance. I have only shot a few times, but Dad taught me a lot. He says that if anything happens, to get the revolver in the bottom of the cabinet. I hug him and my mom and they left. For most of the day, I kinda just laze about until around 7 p.m. when I hear something scratching against wood. Go to the backyard to see the creature from a few nights ago trying to rip off the door to our chicken coop. I take a moment to soak in this thing's full appearance to be sure it's not a dog. It is on 2 legs and I can see that it clearly has hands on its front limbs. They were beige and leathery looking, really bony and long too. Each finger had sharp little nails that were slightly curved upwards. If I had to guess, they were around an inch long. Its legs were very similar to a human's but covered in fur and a lot slimmer. Its feet were about a foot long and arched like a person's as well, but they had the same nails as the hands but larger. I close the door quietly enough to where it doesn't notice as it's too preoccupied with acquiring KFC. Sneak upstairs and unlock the gun cabinet. Grab the revolver Dad told me to use and an entire 40-round box of .357 with it. Load 6 rounds into the cylinder. Rush back downstairs and open the back door just as the ape thing rips the chicken coop door off its hinges. Fire off a round and plug it in the left ass cheek. Lets out one of the most blood-curdling screams I've ever had the displeasure of hearing. Still sounds like an ape and cat mixed together, but at max volume and 10 feet away. It grabs one of the hens from inside the coop and chucks it at me. Poor bird barely misses hitting me and splats against the wall next to me, covering the outside lamp in blood. It lowers itself to all fours and tries to rush me. Before it gets within 5 feet of me, I fire off 3 more rounds and miss 2 of them, but manage to peg it in the right arm. Arm starts bleeding like a faucet and the thing looks like it's scared shitless. Hobbles away towards a tree and struggles to climb it in an attempt to escape. It's smearing blood all over the tree trunk and it starts to make a hooting noise. Hear rustling in the woods as I try to reload the revolver. Another one scrambles out of the woods behind the house. New ape creature is grabbing the injured one and trying to drag it away from the yard. I finish reloading the revolver and fire all 6 rounds in quick succession. Hit the already injured one in the gut and get the new one in the hand and leg. Miss other 3 shots. Reloading again, but they get away. Doubt the first one survived, but the second one would probably be okay. I slump down after the adrenaline from the encounter wears off. I'm breathing roughly and my heart feels like it's going to burst out of my chest. Hear the neighbor's door open. They climb the fence to see what all the commotion is. They check me over to make sure I'm okay. Neighbor family's mom stays with me for a moment until the old man neighbor comes through the backyard gate. Asks me to tell him what happened. I explain and he tells me that although those things sound like something from a myth, he's seen his fair share of weird stuff. He asks me if we have a house phone and I tell him yes, and he asks me if I know either of my parents' phone numbers. I gave him the number to my dad's shitty Motorola flip phone. He calls my dad a half-true explanation of what happened. Tells my dad that there was a black bear in the backyard and it broke into the coop, but that I shot it and it ran away. Dad says he'll be on his way to come pick me up. Ask old neighbor bro why he didn't tell the whole truth. Says that not everybody is keen to believe in that sort of stuff and he doesn't want either of us to be seen as nutty. The old guy makes me something to eat at his house while we wait for my dad. Starts telling me about how there's a lot of strange things in the world. Says that those things will probably leave us alone now since they've been hurt so badly. Tells me to be careful from now on and that if something happened while my parents were away to come to him. Here honking outside, Dad pulls up into the old guy's driveway and comes and asks me if I'm okay. Tell him I'm fine and that I'd rather him stay home since I didn't feel safe alone after that. He says okay, and we go back to our house and check on the birds. All are okay except for the one the ape thing used as a softball. Me and Dad put the door back on hinge and went to sleep. Didn't see the ape things again, but I could hear them yelling in the forest every once in a while. I would also find rotten fruit and small dead animals thrown over the fence all the time. I haven't seen them, but they're there for sure. That's it for that story, though.
Walking home on a really windy night. So windy there's only like 1 or 2 nights a year this windy. The walk is about 20 minutes and super dark for about the first 15. But the last 5 I come more into the town and there are a couple of streetlights. Within 100 meters of starting the walk, what looks like a small dust devil whirls from one side of the road to the other, into a vacant block, about 10 meters in front of me. Okay, weird. Keep walking. As I walk past the block, this dust devil is whirling up this block, which is just sand mainly, and it's darting around all over the place. The night is so noisy because of the wind, but I thought I could hear a voice or voices coming from the empty block or somewhere close by. I'm staring at this thing, flicking sand everywhere. Suddenly it whips straight toward me, not in a big mess of dust, but like an actual whip, curling in all directions really fast. But the sand was really neat and not scattered at all, and it was definitely coming towards me. In the second that this is happening, I'm already pretty freaked out and I hear a definite loud voice. Sounds like it's coming from this whip, dust devil of sand. I start to run immediately and officially freaked out. I run the whole way until I hit the town and the first street light. Completely fucked from the run, but I keep power walking. Pretty scared and just want to get home. I'm about 10 meters from the next streetlight, right next to another vacant block on my right, and another dust devil comes very quickly out of that vacant block near the streetlight and directly toward me. Not lying when I say it looked like a floating mummy cloak thing with its hands stretched toward me, only it was made from sand. Coming toward me so quick it froze me in my tracks. I just closed my eyes. I feel the sand whip my face and hands, so I start to sprint again, opening my eyes after like 10 steps. Immediately hear a loud, deep, drawn-out voice and what sounded like 2 people whispering loudly.
I don't know if I've posted this before, but this is my first true spook story. I've had shit like sleep paralysis, but I always knew it was a sort of hallucination. I don't know about this though. I'm Canadian. It's about 2014, and I live in Scarborough. Best friend lives on a really old forested street. I'm at his house. There were 2 girls over. We had been double dating these 2 girls, but I soon realized I couldn't stand her. Told my friend that I had no intention of making out with this girl, and that bruh, please don't leave me alone with her. Ends up making out with her friend in his washroom. Shit, I'm left alone. The Island was playing. I try to make small talk about the movie and keep things pie. Soon I realize I have to escape. It's about 3 o'clock. Text my friend and he's like, shit, sorry. And he manages to escape the washroom. Make up BS about how I have to be at work and that I'm fairly conservative and take my time friend backs this up. I leave. I've only had a few glasses of whiskey and I'm fine. Walking down his street, it's dark. I've been out here many times, so I'm okay. I hear faint giggles in the distance, though the street seems dead empty. At the end of the road, there's a house with a row of densely packed trees and a long gated fence. I see a large white orb sphere floating in a pattern between the trees. Spooked out, I call out, "Is someone fucking with me?" I pick up a piece of sharp wood lying in a ditch and continue down the road. There's nothing in front of this house, and I couldn't fathom how anything could have gotten that high up near the trees and fence. Have no idea what I saw. The street seemed dead silent other than that giggle, and no one was around. Creeped me out.
Be me 27 about 5 years ago in Arkansas, living with my parents and younger brother, 1 year below me, because hard times, saving money. We're out in the countryside on a good-sized piece of land, not in a neighborhood. Houses aren't close or right up on each other. It's 12:45 a.m., everyone else is asleep, but it's nice and cool, and I'm night owl, so I'm doing my usual walk around their long circle driveway and chilling with the trees and moonlight before bed. Watching the stars, but something is off. One of them is not right. Watch this one particular star on the low part of the horizon for about 10 minutes. Watching this bright white orb just move around. Hair-raising, goosebumps all over when absolutely certain I'm watching it move around and realizing I'm looking right at a UFO. I mean, it is really moving back and forth in a small general area, and that it is not up in the sky. It is close to the ground in the distance. It's very bright. Movements are slight, but very obvious. I'm used to the optical illusion of movement that comes when staring at stars, but this one was moving. Run inside and up to my brother's room. Wake him up, drag his ass out of bed to come confirm this is real. He comes out, I point it out. He watches. He's convinced. To this day, he's convinced. We still talk about that sighting, how it stayed there interloping and doing its weird movements. I'll never forget. We'll never forget it.
Damn, Anon, I've seen this exact same thing when I was about 11 or 12. I live in semi-rural England, where the light pollution isn't so bad, and my dad was teaching me the constellations when we saw exactly what you described doing the exact same thing. We also saw it leave, where it zoomed off at an angle at what looked like incredible speed.
Hey, Anon, this one's actually not far. We should go there right now. It is an hour-and-a-half drive from here. Be impulsive and agree to drive there. Me and GF in front, AK in back. For context, the place we were going is a small stretch of road that runs up the Niagara Escarpment on the outskirts of Burlington, known as the Magnetic Hill. The story is if you put your car in neutral at the bottom of a certain hill on that road, it will slowly roll uphill from a dead stop, and if you spread a powder on your rear bumper, you will see finger impressions as though the car was pushed. I guess that due to the sharp corners and steep drop-offs, several people have died on this road, and there are many accounts of everything from paranormal activity to UFO sightings. I looked more into all this after the fact. The night we went there, I only knew it was supposed to be haunted and a spooky ghost might strong-arm my heavy old car up a hill. Get stuck listening to 2000s pop music and autistic screeching from the backseat entire drive. Arrive piss.x, get to hill, do the thing. Car barely moves an inch, no fingerprints, no happenings, nothing at all. Waste of a night and half a tank of gas. What a joke. Light sig and loudly proclaim this. Continue driving up the narrow, winding road. Start saying shit to egg ghosts on out the window. Literally daring any presence to make a move. Throw cigarette butt out window like a dick. In hindsight, I think that is what did it. A little about this car. I paid $250 for it. One of the many features that come with a $250 car, aside from having to start it with a screwdriver because a crackhead stole it, was that it didn't have a headliner. Turns out they're not just there to look pretty, but also act as a sound deadener. So whenever anything touched that roof, you'd hear it loud and clear inside. Throw butt out the window, don't make it another 50 feet down the road when something knocks on the roof of the car. I mean a very loud, very distinct and evenly spaced anybody home type of knock, knock, knock. This wasn't something that could be explained away by an acorn bouncing off or some shit. A K fucking loses it, lets loose the squeal of 1,000 hogs. Girlfriend white with fear, wide-eyed trying to look in all directions at once. I step on the gas, desperately checking my mirrors for something bouncing off the road that might explain it. Nothing there. Suddenly hear rubbing or grinding loudly, as if something is wedged up in the back passenger wheel well. Had to be the farthest stone .jpg. Stop car and get out. Check everything. Look under the car, behind the tire. Nothing there. Notice that other than the engine idling, it was dead quiet. Same as other anons have described. No wind and not a single living thing making noise like the woods gets when there's a predator nearby. Start driving and noise is now gone. All occupants of the vehicle agree it's time to turn around. Make it around a couple bends and the noise is back, but now I can feel it. So stop to check again. Fuck me, it's flat. Pick related, we brought a camera. Last thing I needed, GF and AK are losing their shit in the least helpful way possible. Not staying on this fucking road. I drive on the flat anyway. Close to the end of the road was a park with a small parking area and a couple streetlights. Decide I'll change the tire there. Get to the park. Every lug nut is seized to the hub. Shitty car jack handle can't get the leverage, I need to crack them loose. See the first other car all night? Try to wave them down, but they floor it. Literally peel their tires to get away from us. All of us start hearing things across the park or in the trees. Feel like we're being watched. Decide fuck the tire and the rim, we're leaving now. Drive and don't stop until we're well off that road. Be current year reading Greentext stories on /x/ and remember this. Check these pics for the first time in years. Realize they were taken at 3:36 a.m. The witching hour. The knock and flat likely occurred at right around 3:22 a.m. That's pretty much it for the paranormal part. I will say the lug nuts being seized was strange to me. I know my way around cars and I use a torque wrench when I do my tires. The rest of the night morning was pretty stupid too, and involved catching the night security at a Mercedes dealer playing COD 4 online on the main display in the showroom. But nothing paranormal. Pick related is what I took of the park, but I couldn't see anything too odd about it.
Be me, 8 years old. With my dad driving home from my brother's hockey game. About 1:30ish in the morning. Dad decides to take the back roads through a dense forest area. Completely pitch black outside besides his headlights. Start having a conversation about the game with him. All of a sudden he tells me to look out the window. Turn my head quickly, and a pale face is looking directly at me. Heart almost explodes. .png. Dad starts driving away, and I turn around to get a better look. A strikingly pale man in a long black trench coat, full suit, bowler hat, and a briefcase is just casually strolling along in the middle of nowhere. Tell my dad to speed off because I am scared shitless. Start to discuss hypotheticals as to why this man would be in the area at such a time, but can't think of anything plausible. Takes 20 minutes to get to civilization just by driving, and would take longer walking. I still can't get the image of how he looked out of my head because of how unusual it looked. Me and my dad have kept it among ourselves since it happened, and he brings it up to me every once in a while just to have a laugh because of how absurdly weird it was. The funniest part is how it's such a stereotypical horror story trope of seeing a pale man in a trench coat walking in a forest that I never told anyone because of how fake the story sounds.
Be me. Be cargo pilot trying to build hours, flying late at night as usual to get back to base. Plane used to be passenger plane back in the 80s/90s, but was converted to carry cargo. This means all the seats, the lavatory, galley, fixtures, flight attendant control panels, etc. were ripped out a long time ago, leaving nothing but an empty tube with cargo nets and a life raft. Just me and the captain on board, and we are both in the flight deck. Dark as hell, night out, no moon. Something happened earlier in the flight that was so insignificant, I do not even remember what it was that happened. like a bump noise from the cargo area. But on talking about it later, the captain made a remark like, "Oh, that is just the ghost of the old flight attendant who used to fly on this plane," completely jokingly. Less than 15 seconds later, the flight attendant call notification rings and lights up in the cockpit. Basically, a lighted switch with a sound that notifies the cockpit that the flight attendant is trying to talk to us. Except, like I said, the flight attendant panel was ripped out years ago. There is no way to activate the call button, and we were the only 2 people on board the plane anyways. Call button eventually goes out. Proceed to be spooked but land normally with no other incident. Not very climatic, but 100% true. Probably just some loose wires and coincidence, but damn, that was a hell of a coincidence. I flew that same plane and several others of the same type several times and never had that happen again. We were in completely smooth air, so it's not like wires would have been bumped around into making that happen.
Also happened in Florida, for whatever that's worth. Mom's on the board of directors for this local theater that's been around since the 50s. 12-year-old me decides to tag along with her to one of her board meetings. Unless there's a running production, the theater is empty during the day. All the grown-ups set up in the green room, which is located at the easternmost part of the building. Little me gets bored of all the business talk, so he decides to go take a piss. Compared to the green room, the bathrooms were on the complete opposite side of the building, where everything should be devoid of people. I enter the empty bathroom, and it's your standard affair. Afterwards, my mom just dismissed it as the air conditioner or something moving the door. But those doors were heavy wood, heavy enough that you actually had to put some effort into opening them. Also, even though she was quick to dismiss, if she ever had to go to the theater late at night to check on something, my mom would always make my brother, my dad, or me go with her. Same anon. It wasn't till I was in my mid-late teens that my mom finally told me about her paranormal experiences, which ranged from hearing voices or seeing shadows when it was just her closing after a show. The one that spooked her, and me, the most was this. She was in the lobby, grabbing her purse from the ticket box after a showing of Oklahoma. As she was getting ready to leave, she heard what she described as the entire men's choir talking from behind the locked double doors that led to the audience seats and stage. She walked out to the front of the building, where the director and board president were talking with a few of the remaining actors. Since the president had keys to the building, she asked if they could unlock the doors, because there were people still inside. The president told her that they had already done a sweep to make sure everyone was out, and they had turned all the lights off. So if there were people still inside, they were just casually talking in pitch-black darkness. This theater didn't have a ghost light, so when the lights were turned off, you couldn't even see your hands in front of your face. So, suffice to say, she was thoroughly spooked out.
Be dad circa mid-90s, almost asleep. Suddenly a loud bang from somewhere in the house. Think I might have imagined it, but my wife heard it too. Rush out of bed, throw on a robe, grab a flashlight from the nightstand drawer. Gotta check on kids ASAP. The hallway is empty. Open door to my daughter's room. She is asleep. Open the door to my son's room. He is gone. Oh shit, oh fuck. Race to the front of the house, completely ignoring any sense of danger. Nothing encountered. Check all 4 entrances to the house. All are locked and deadbolted or chained. What the fuck? Panic starts to be replaced by confusion. Check the garage. Check bathrooms. Check all windows. Nothing out of place or broken. See drawstring to attic hanging in the hallway. Oh, please no. Open the door to the linen closet to grab a bigger flashlight. Son is in the linen closet. Whip flashlight around at him. At the same time he screams. Respond by screaming Jesus Christ and instinctively push him in the chest. He falls backwards and flails. Look in his eyes changes from some weird, glossed-over, unfocused look to confused and afraid. He hits the wonky shelves and knocks them off their holders. This somehow dominoes upwards, and all 4 shelves, along with their towels, sheets, pillowcases, etc., come tumbling down. He mumbles, "What the fuck?" Never heard him curse. Where did he learn that language? I need to talk to him later, but right now. Try to catch him, but he is too low. Fall with the shelves, laying in a heap of destruction in the hallway. Be me circa mid-90s, go to sleep after a normal day. Suddenly I am being punched in the chest. Eyesight rushes to me. It is my dad. I've been betrayed. Mumble, "What the fuck?" and try to grab something to stop my fall. Grab shelves. Why am I in a closet? The shelf comes loose. Somehow all shelves come loose. I am on the floor as every shelf and piece of cloth known to man buries me. Dad falls on top of me, and that's how my parents and I found out that I could sleepwalk sometimes.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.